First self project. Wow!
Everyone has their own difficulties in life. Some go and some stay. In a world where 50% of people go through the same physical and mental cycle, we can at least expect the other 50% to understand the basics of what women undergo. The issue today is not the fact that the menstrual cycle is misunderstood, but the ignorance and taboos around it. For this, we believe education and awareness is essential, especially to show that this is a natural occurrence that requires understanding and care. That's the reason we came up with Flow, an interactive data physicalization installation aiming to destigmatize the menstrual cycle, helping people to see it as the natural phenomenon it is.
For the story, we wanted to teach the people about the menstrual cycle and really emphasize that it's not always the textbook one, and it impacts your life in more ways than just bleeding for a few days in the menstrual phase. Because it can really be different for each person, we chose 4 personas, and then you can choose that persona and put it on a tree, and then you're going through their menstrual cycle, so through their symptoms and their intensities. The process is natural, there is nothing to be ashamed or disgusted about. So we have this nature theme around it. And also we chose seasons of the year to have something tangible for people to connect to the phases of the menstrual cycle. So menstrual phase is represented by winter, follicular phase is represented by spring, summer is ovulation, and autumn is luteal phase.
For our installation, we used the dataset MC Phases. This dataset contains self-reported symptoms, hormone levels, and a bunch more of 42 women. The symptoms of all the women were very different. So instead of taking the average of the women's symptoms, we decided to pick 4 persons and base the personas on them. And we picked 4 persons with very differing symptoms. So we can show that the difference is very variable.
So before users enter the installation, they have to do a quiz, and based on that quiz, they will be matched to a persona. First, we have 3 questions where people get a little refreshment or a little education about what the phases actually are. And then we have 4 questions that will match you to a persona. So what the personas do is they make the installation more interactive and personal. When you pick your persona, each persona has their own RFID tag. You put it on the mushroom that's attached to the tree that has an RFID reader, and that will scan the persona, and based on that, the installation will begin.
In the installation, the wheel is responsible for setting the phase of the menstrual cycle. So turning the wheel will guide you through the 4 phases. What the wheel is also doing is that it's showing a part of the data. And this data is fatigue. In the menstrual cycle, women experience the most fatigue. So in this part of the cycle, the wheel will feel most heavy. This is done by having a box under the table that has a circle with a blunt cutout that creates resistance through friction. In the cutout, when it gets to the heaviest point, the shortest point, resistance will be the greatest. Behind this box, the rod of the wheel continues, and this is linked to a rotary encoder. The rotary encoder is connected to the same ESP32 as the personas are, and together they combine their data and send it out through ESP now to all the other components, and that is how the whole installation is connected.
Okay, so the way we brought everything together in the installation is we needed to share the information across multiple sources, and they had to be wireless. So we chose to use ESP now, which is ESP32 to ESP32 communication. We have one sender, ESP, which uses a Wi-Fi protocol that sends 2 values, the persona and the phase of the installation, across multiple receivers. Across our installation, we have multiple ESPs that get this value and then they map it to a certain vibration or a certain soundtrack or light. And that thing is broadcasting all the time, so everything in the system knows what the state of the installation is.
For estrogen, we map the data to rocks. We're letting users stack rocks to show how much estrogen there is per persona per phase. So if there's too little rocks, they have to add more, showing there's more estrogen than in the previous phase.
We map the data
By taking the average per persona in each phase, we normalize the different levels to each other to emphasize the differences between the estrogen levels in the phases. We are using a sensor, which is a load cell, and this load cell can measure the amount of rocks. The user gets feedback with 3 LEDs that say if the amount of rocks is too little, too much, or correct.
When you arrive at the tree, you can see a tree that represents different seasons, and every season is mapped to a different part in the cycle of the woman. When the leaves are nicely up, it represents summer, and then it means the woman is really fertile. For the hardware, it was really difficult to find a system that worked, that let you have leaves go up and down and also stop them somewhere in between, which would represent fall. We tried a whole lot of different methods. I talked to electrical engineers, asked them how should we do this, and it really was a pain in the ass, if I can say that. We had like 10 different plans, and I worked through a lot of plans because every time we reached something, there was a new struggle coming up. So we made a lot of prototypes until we reached the final thing that did work. So ultimately, we ended up choosing a sort of an elevator system. So we had a stepper motor attached to a platform and a stone, and all the threads would go from the platform. And when the stepper motor would be turned on, the platform would descend and all the threads would lower, which meant the leaves were going up. And then when the stepper motor was spinning the other way, we could have the leaves go down since the platform was going up.
Within the data, we've also found an interesting correlation for mood swings, and this is represented in a LED matrix, which has a light block going side to side. The speed at which the block swings side to side represents how much people experience mood swings per phase and of course per persona. The LED matrices are hung up by wires behind the curtains to create a kind of faded effect. They're powered by an external power supply so that all the LEDs have enough voltage to run smoothly, and the connection is done by ESP Now wirelessly to the main component in the tree.
So one part of the installation was the belts, which are meant to simulate the cramps that a woman experiences. And for this we had a couple of vibration motors on a belt, and to make them wireless we had to first of all make a power supply wireless. We also needed a transistor to control the motors, and then we needed an ESP to receive the signal. So that was all soldered into one component, and now once it receives the signals of the phase and the persona that the installation is in, it gets translated into a certain strength, and then the motor will vibrate at that strength.
With an interactive installation such as ours, ambience cannot be forgotten in the process. Our ambience consists of lights, sounds, and wind. For lights, we use different LED strips which are programmed to display the face, but also mood swings of the people. Aside from light, we also use sound. We used processing with a combination with Arduino here to create an interactive sound system that interacts with the phase that the user is currently in. There are speakers surrounding the installation that give a surround sound experience. Lastly, we use fans around the curtains of the installation to physicalize flow. Women experience flow only during the menstrual phase, and we want to physicalize this since it's such a big part of the menstrual phase. So the currents are moving like there is blood flowing.
For the processing of the data, we use the same method for the mood swings, estrogen, the cramps, and flow. For cramps, mood swings, and flow, we have categorical data. Cramps and mood swings are on a 0 to 5 scale, which we mapped to numbers, and then we took an integer to simplify it. The flow has one more category, but we mapped it in the same way, and the hormones are just raw numbers. Just like with the rest of them, we took the average over the phase per persona. The hormones are also scaled.
Lastly, we want to show an overview of the flow of the installation. So as we said, first you walk in to the persona table where you make a quiz. This is where you receive your personal persona. Here you'll also grab the belt from the persona table. Then you'll walk into the actual room. Here you're free to explore however you want. We do ask you to put a persona on the tree to make sure that the installation reacts to the person, and we ask you to turn the wheel at whatever moment you desire. We want the user to explore every single bit of data that is physical in the installation.